we'll start with Coach Bielema, home team Illinois. That's a technical term. It's bowl games. I know people aren't thinking home away, but that's how we operate. So, Coach, if you can start, and then we'll go to Coach Beamer, and we'll get rolling.
Absolutely, very excited, obviously, for tomorrow. I really wired our guys into postseason play since it started at early December. Kind of talked to our guys about watching things as they proceed and go through. It's been awesome. Even the Pop-Tart Bowl the other night culminated, as I said yesterday, by the sacrifice of a Pop-Tart. But that was pretty awesome to watch and witness. Postseason play is just one of those things that I think once you're a part of it, you get addicted to it more and more. And obviously, these guys have earned the right to be here. Congratulations to Coach Beamer in South Carolina. Just an incredible football team, one of the best in college football. Obviously, win their last 6 games are as hot gets. So, a tremendous challenge for our guys. A couple of neat things to be here with Josh. Just the ride that we've been on to get to this point, to be on the culmination of a 9-win season. Hope to get 10 is just absolutely awesome to be here and be a part of it. Another little sidebar: Mike Hopkins, who played in the 1990 game here as well, will be our veteran of the game. I got it spacewalk 5 times, 333 days in space. Just a cool thing for one of our former players to be a part of the game in a very special way. Saw Derek Brownlow and Chris Green last night at the function just to see former players come back. I was getting a cup of coffee this morning and met some people from Dixon, Illinois that apparently I went to school with the wife's hairstylist. She couldn't remember her maiden name, so I didn't know her. But just a lot of really cool things around this event. I think to come to Orlando and to the Florida Citrus Sports to be a part of this event with them, just absolutely couldn't be happier. Hoagie and I started off as rookies together as the head of this bowl since 2006. To come back and be reunited with this group is really, really awesome. So excited about the opportunity and very, very excited for tomorrow.
Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. Been a fantastic week. Thanks to Steve Hogan and everyone here with Florida Citrus Sports. It's been an awesome time here at the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl when the playoff rankings came out the week after we beat Clemson, and it was evident that we weren't going to be in the playoffs. Coach Tanner and our administration immediately went to work on getting us into this game. And I think that's what's really cool about this game is you have 2 teams, 2 really good teams that easily could be in the playoff that want to be here. This is as good as it gets. The week here in Orlando, the hospitality, it's first class in every which way. And our guys couldn't be more excited about being here. It's been a great week. Ton of respect for Bret and his team. We were at an event together last night and told the people there, and it's the truth, that they do things the right way. At Illinois, you can watch tape and you can tell the teams that are about the right stuff and playing the game the right way, and they absolutely play the game the right way. Be a 9-win team. And easily could be in the playoff as well. 2 losses to playoff teams as well. He's got a really good football team. Will be a really big challenge for us tomorrow. But our guys are fired up about the opportunity and finishing the season the right way. And they're playing for something. We're playing for something. Should be a great matchup. And it's neat being back here. I mentioned it to our local media on the teleconference or the Zoom the day that this was announced. My second game ever as a college, second bowl game ever as a college football coach was back in 2001. I was a graduate assistant at Tennessee, and we came down here and played Michigan after the 2001 season. And that week in Orlando as a young graduate assistant, young and dumb, no family, was a hell of a week. But they set the bar high as far as bowl games go that week, and to be back now as a head coach and married with 3 kids and maybe still dumb but definitely not young has been full circle. But a lot of fun that week and a lot of fun this week as well.
All right, thank you both. If you have a question, raise a hand. We'll get a mic to you. We can start here on the left with Kyle. Then we'll go to the front row right down in front of you.
Good morning, Coach. Just got one for each of you. Coach Shane, we'll start with you. I know that it's always popular for fans and we media folk to talk about offensive players that are missing the game, but what makes you confident on the defensive side? Going without an Nagurski Award winner, all of that. What makes you confident about the defense going into the upcoming game here, that they'll keep the attack strong there up front?
Yeah, one, the leadership that we returned on this year's team from last year. Certainly we'll miss Kyle when you don't have the SEC Defensive Player of the Year here. That's a loss, but we've got 3 defensive tackles that are still here that have been a part of our program since either 2020 or 2021. We've got 3 linebackers that are older guys. You know, our secondary, they've played a lot of football together. So we've got a lot of really good players and leadership around them. And then at that position specifically, certainly Kyle and Dylan Stewart are the 2 guys that people talk about the most. But we've typically rotated 6 guys every game at that defensive end position, and guys that have played a lot of football as well. So it'll be a great opportunity for those other guys to step up, and certainly with those defensive tackles on the inside, you know, that's the meat of your defense, if you will, and those guys are still here as well. So everyone's got to be better. That's a big loss not having Kyle, but our guys are excited for the challenge, and it'll be a challenge going up against, you know, one of the better offensive lines we've seen, an offensive tackle that's as good as we've seen as well. So it'll be a big challenge for them.
Coach Bret, first of all, my mom's from Decatur, Illinois, so
Excellent.
this is the most excited she's been about any of these bowl games I've covered. So there you go with that. But let me go to you. How much of an opportunity is this for Zachary Franklin to step up and show off his skills a little bit?
You know, Zachari's been a guy that's been with us all year, but obviously, you know, when Pat made the decision to pop out from this game, Zachary knew his role was going to be increased, but really excited about Malik Elzy, Kapka Jones, Hank Beatty, just a slew of guys that'll hop into the wide receiver position. Echoing Coach's thoughts, I was not disappointed to see the SEC Player of the Year not be here. But I think it's about the guys that want to be here and are in it, right? And I think these are opportunities. I've watched this, witnessed this. I've been 17 bowl games that, you know, guys that kind of take these last 3 or 4 weeks that are stepping into new roles. So this culmination of the year will obviously be tomorrow, but it's really the stepping stone into next year, right? And I think a lot of our guys believe that, feel that, see that, and that's what we've been kind of preaching to them. So very excited about those guys.
All right, we'll take our next one right down here in front. If you have a question, raise a hand. We'll get a mic to you.
This is for both of you. Shane, you even mentioned you both want to be here. This is a really important game for both of you. So start with you, Bret. Like, what can bowl games mean in the college football playoff era for programs like you guys?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, bowl games have evolved so much. Commonly during my recruiting pitches when we have kids on campus, I show them the 1990 Rose Bowl that I was a part of as a player, right? And you know, that Rose Bowl ring, when I bring kids on campus, sits right next to a Super Bowl ring, right? And I think that Rose Bowl ring was $150 by NCAA rules back then, and it sits next to a Super Bowl ring that was $88,000, 20 fake diamonds versus 218 real diamonds. And I always say to people, right, those are 2 cool rings, and a lot of people would say the Super Bowl ring has more value, but both of those rings mean everything to me, right, because it represents a year. And I think that's what it gets down to. You know, we're not paying any kid any amount of dollars to play in this game, right? And I know some teams have done that, and that's perfectly great for them, but our kids want to be here and are a part of it. Also, like, I found it interesting, right? There's just so much misinformation out there. You know, I was watching a game the other night, and they made a big deal that they insured their players for the bowl game. We insured our players for the whole freaking season, right? Like, so, like, our guys know that we take care of them from before we even started in fall camp to the whole year. We have guys that qualify for insurance, and we paid for them the whole year from Josh and the athletic department to do that. It just tells our kids that we believe in them and we care for them, and I think that's a really big deal. And this last game is an opportunity to show them.
Absolutely. I would echo all that as well. I think it shows that you've got a lot of players on both teams that are very invested in their programs and want what's best for their program. There's a perception out there with other teams that guys play in bowl games because they have to play in a bowl game to pick up a NIL check at the end of it, and that's not accurate with us. In fact, I changed it because I didn't want that. I'm like, if they don't want to be there, let them get the check at the beginning of December and they can go. And our guys want to be here, and I think it's just great that you get an opportunity to come to a great place like Orlando, have a week together. We've talked about it as a team that all year long we've just been creating awesome moments as a team, just like his team has as well. And coming down here for a week in Orlando with your guys, with your teammates and families, it's just an awesome time. And, you know, I said this back in Columbia and probably took some criticism for it, like I was saying that I didn't want to be in the playoff, but I hate that part of the playoff, if you make the playoff and you lose the first round, your season's over, and it's just an away game. And all you do is if you go play whoever, Penn State, you leave on Friday, you go to State College, PA, you play the game, and you come home. And that's it. And great for them. Don't get me wrong. I would have loved to have been in the playoff. But the fact that we get to come down here and spend a week in Orlando and that our guys get to go have fun together and create great memories. At dinner last night, someone was asking me, what's your favorite bowl game that you've been to, either as a player or coach, and you just start going back through the years, and there's so many awesome memories from all the different bowl games that I've had a chance to experience, and it's one of the things that makes college football so great, and just hope and pray that as the college football continues to evolve, that bowl games won't be affected in a adverse way.
All right, we're going to take two on the aisle, one on the right aisle and then one on the left aisle.
Hey, Brett over here. How's it going?
Oh, yep.
Just a quick one for me. You had spoken about how a couple of months ago, before the season started, you talked about how this was the 2024-2025 season. What would a win do for the ceiling for your program and just kind of moving forward?
Yeah, I guess first and foremost, we put that because normally this game is on the first, right? So I was hoping to go into 2025. Unless we're going to fall a day short, unless we go a bunch of overtimes. But it's a great point. I say it because I think that the world of college football that we're living in, your roster literally flips almost on a daily basis, and to use this as a game that. We'll fly home on January 1st, and we have a visitor coming on January 2nd for the 2025 season, and it's a catalyst to do that. I think one of the things Josh and I had a conversation literally in our first phone call when we talked about taking this job was to build something that was sustainable, and 2 years to get to an 8-win team and to play in January 1st, and then to get to where we are today. I know last year it was a 5-7 season that I didn't enjoy, and we used it as a catalyst to get to this year, and hopefully we'll just continue to take this thing forward and build something that can sustain success in Illinois for a long time.
All right, we're going to take a few on the left side. We've got one here, second one on the fourth row.
For Bret, you said a couple days ago that injury-wise you're pretty full-go rodeo.
Yeah.
Like, does that include Seth Coleman? And if it does, can you kind of just talk about how cool it is to have that month-long gap to maybe get him one more?
Yeah, Seth, I give him a lot of credit. Obviously, a guy even a year ago at this time made a decision to come back, passed up on an NFL opportunity to come back and join us, and really build himself into a special senior year. Unfortunately, got injured in the Northwestern game. I believe he practiced on. Forgive me. I don't even know what today is. I know it's the day before the game.
It's Friday. Friday in our world.
In our world, it's Friday. So Tuesday's practice, which it really wasn't a Tuesday. You can sort it out. He practiced. Wednesday he didn't, and then yesterday was just kind of a walkthrough tempo period. So I think Seth's going to be out there. If he's not, I know he's been invited to a Senior Bowl opportunity. We'll be able to do that. But really, he's the only one. We've had a couple guys with a flu bug. A couple of our players brought that with them from the holidays. But other than that, the guys that have been injured throughout the course of the year won't be with us. But other than that, we should be full go.
All right, we're going to take another one on the left here, and then we'll go to the far right.
Come on, Gamecock Media. Y'all must have had a late night last night. Gosh.
I got you.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See, you're the guy that sits over here with the Illinois media.
He's
I like
a wedding
that.
crasher.
Yeah.
He just comes
Exactly.
out on the wrong side.
I just like sitting in the back. That's all.
My bad, Hale.
You're good. With preseason rankings being, I guess, very relevant these days with college football playoff, how important is it to maximize what you guys can set yourself up for as far as preseason expectations and that aspect of things?
Yeah, it's important. I hadn't thought about it in regards to rankings next year in regards to this game. To me, it's more about finishing this season the right way and having a chance to win 10 games and send these seniors out the right way. And I alluded to it in that first question that, I think we've got something like the second or third most number of seniors in the country just because we have so many guys that are part of this program that are older guys. So sending them out the right way, but there's no question you want to win your last game to have momentum going in to the off season. They've had great momentum in the month of December coming off a win over Northwestern, and we've had great momentum coming off a win over Clemson. So to be able to sustain that momentum and keep that throughout the off season is very important. But regardless of what happens tomorrow, looking at Bret's roster, he's got a really good team coming back, it looks like, next year. And looking at our roster, we're going to be preseason picked, I would imagine, somewhere fairly high just with who we have coming back and the young men that are coming into the program. So it's two teams. Coach just mentioned it, sustaining it for the long term, and two teams that are built that way for sure, that I think both have really big futures in front of them because of the foundation that's been laid and the progress that's been made.
All right, we're going to the far right side, and then we'll come back here to the left aisle.
Shane, with Rocket, foregoing this game and declaring for the NFL draft, how have you seen that running back room come together, and how are they relishing the opportunity to step up and maybe make a statement for 2025?
Yeah, they have. Certainly, we'll miss him, but that's another group where it's not a lot of young players. You've got Juju McDowell, who has been a part of our program and making impactful plays since I became the head coach back in 2021. I mean, I go back to the East Carolina game, my second game ever as the head coach, and he had a long kickoff return that essentially won the game for us up in Greenville way back in 2021. So he's an older guy that's played a lot of football. Oscar Attaway is an older guy that's been our number 2 guy throughout the year. So we have experience in that room, but then we also have some really talented young players, and I'm excited going back to, Hale's question that I'm excited about for 2025 when you talk about Jawarn Howe and Matthew Fuller. Both those guys are going to be really good running backs for us, and tomorrow will be an opportunity for them to get out there and show what they can do as well.
All right, we're going to take one on the aisle here, then we'll go over to the right side, and we'll come back to the left side.
For both Coach B's, what was the point during the season, a game or moment where you felt like what you ended up doing was possible? Was there a moment like where you felt like this is clicking, we're gone?
Both Coach B's. I like that. I never got this way. Yeah, that's a good one.
Bob's very witty.
I see that.
Been doing it for a while. Yeah.
Oh, man. We as a team, we had higher expectations than anyone on the outside did throughout the year. But for me, probably the Kentucky game, just the way that we played, particularly on defense. You go in practice, you see these guys, and you think you're pretty good. And then we played Old Dominion the first game. But week 2, we went and played at Kentucky in Lexington against Coach Stoops, who he's a blue-collar, physical. That's their MO there at UK. And to go up there with a redshirt freshman quarterback and what do we have, 7 sacks, I think, something like that, to control the line of scrimmage like we did in that game, and then see your freshman quarterback get knocked out of the game with an injury but come back and make some plays. I walked off the field that day, not saying that we're going to end the season on a 6-game winning streak and down here in Orlando, but I remember walking off the field that day thinking, okay, we got a chance to be pretty good just because of the way that we can play defense. This young freshman defensive end we got is going to be okay. And our freshman quarterback didn't get, in his first road start in the SEC, was poised as could be and made some plays to other freshmen, true freshmen that day in the passing game as well.
I would say halftime in Nebraska. We were, at that point, a football team that had, done some good things. We beat a ranked Kansas team at home, but to go on the road and play a ranked Nebraska team at the time, I thought we just answered ourselves a lot of questions that we had just about where we wanted to go, what we wanted to do. I felt we would beat Kansas. I just thought our guys were going to be into that game. It was a home game. It was all that and a ranked opponent. But to go on the road and play a Nebraska team at the time was undefeated. I think they lost 5 more after us in a row. So I think I always talk about when we play a team, it's not what we do to them that week, but what they do after us, right? Because of the physicality that we embrace and try to play. So I would say that game in particular. I want to just comment. Shane had brought up a great point, a great question about preseason rankings. Because we were a 5-7 team a year ago, no one really thought much of us going into this year. I did as a football coach. I didn't as a head coach. I could tell the type of team I had, but it takes a while for the outside world to see those things. So I would just put an emphatic issue out to college football rankings. Bob, you write and you also vote, right? Like to take each individual year. I think the college football playoffs do a good thing in the fact that they don't rank anybody until after week, 5 or 6, right? And I think that's probably the great way to look at it, because there's going to be teams that are going to be held to a high standard that everybody just thinks are a top 20 team, and they can't hold up to it. And on the flip side of it, there's teams that people that think that certain teams are going to be a bottom 20 football team, and they're not, right? So I think each year individually has this its individual season, and we have to rank teams accordingly.
All right, we're going to go to the far right and then to the far left and then back to the right again.
Yeah, this is for both coaches. You talk about building the foundation for the next year, but with so much going on with the House settlement and things like that, how challenging has it become to keep your team together year in and year out and try to build something for the future when the future seems to be moving around left and right all the time?
Yeah, great question. I've been fortunate enough. This will be my 17th year coming up as a head coach, and every year has been uniquely different. But I don't think there's ever been a time where a head coach has worn as many hats as he has, which is something I love. It embraces, and I think about it all the time. Like, we truly. I always use this quote. If you choose a job you love, you never work a day in your life. I'm 54 years old, and I don't know if I've worked a day yet, right? Even the best of days or the worst of days, I love every job. What I don't like is I think the one misleading fact of this whole world is graduation rates. We have a thing called APR that they can actually track. Every head coach has an APR ranking that is trackable on the NCAA website, and part of the reason I've been able to get jobs that I've got is because of that APR ranking. We were a good football team, good players, but I believe in graduating kids, and part of this whole transition thing when kids transfer from schools to schools is they throw off their graduation rates, and there are a lot of kids that will make final year decisions that will forego graduating, and it's all great right now, and the NIL is great, and the chance to play in the NFL is awesome, but I think about a lot of kids 10, 15 years down the road, and they're going to be doing a 30 for 30 on some times that we're living in right now, and that upsets me as a head coach, but it is crazy, right? Like, to have a kid on your team today that you realize you might play in your opener on another football team is just crazy world that we're living in, but it also makes it fun. I know Coach has been a great job of retaining. There's been kids on our team. I believe we have 5 guys that are going to play in this game that are in the portal, and I wouldn't do that if I didn't love them, if I didn't trust them, if I didn't believe in who they were. I want to help them go to where they want to go, but I don't think every place is like that, so I think that's the part that I'm glad. I've heard Shane talk several times now, and I know his care and his love for his team is real. But I don't know if that's always the commonplace in college football, which I hope we get to.
Yeah, the same. It's a challenge. I followed Coach Bielema's career for a long time, and have a ton of respect for him. And he's very much a team builder. And it's hard now as a college football coach because you really truly, because there's a spring portal window as well, you don't know who's going to be on your team until the middle of May. And you go through spring practice, and that may or may not be your football team in the fall. I mean, we added 2 receivers after spring practice last year, Dale Von Campbell and Vandrevius Jacobs. And it's hard when you're trying to build a team in the offseason, January, February, March, April, May, all that stuff, that you don't know until May who's going to be on your team. And it's changing every day, every week, like you said. I was kidding with someone, Jeff Crane, our deputy athletic director, who does an awesome job. He was out at practice back in Columbia last week or the week before, and we were standing on the side. I said, take a look at practice right now, and this is a snapshot of college football in 2024. We were missing 2 players who had just played a couple weeks earlier against Clemson that opted out of the bowl game. We were missing a coach who took the App State head coaching job. We had a high school recruit on the sideline, a great offensive lineman in the state of South Carolina. He was there on an unofficial visit with his family. And then we had 2 guys that were visiting from the portal that we had played that season from other SEC schools that were standing on the side watching practice. And to me, it's chaos. But it is what it is. But I agree with what Coach said. I love what I do, and I'm certainly a glass is half full kind of guy and see the positives in what we get to do as coaches. But certainly it's challenging right now and concerning in a lot of ways as well.
And Davion Campbell played for me my first year.
That's right. Illinois, that's right.
Crazy.
Crazy. We'll check his loyalties when I get back to the hotel here as well.
It was a different OC.
We got we'll take one on the far left here, and then one in the front row on the right, and then we'll close with that.
Shane, I think today marks a whole month since you've played the Clemson game, and I'm sure it feels like an eternity of this past month between the excitement of winning that game, missing out on the playoff, losing Dow to the App State job, and of course what you just mentioned with the entire whirlwind of an offseason. What's it kind of been like trying to make sure your team keeps that momentum fresh from winning the last 6 games of the season, where you're winning like 6 games in 7 weeks?
Yeah, no, it's a challenge because it is such a layoff, and you want to balance. Bowl games are great. Going back to one of the questions about the bowl games, because it gives you an extra spring practice. as well. So you were able to really work and develop your young guys and really your entire roster because it gives you extra time. So you want to do that, but you also want to balance not wearing them out in the month of December. And it was a long year because in our minds, when we were 3-3, for us to have any shot at the playoff, we knew we had to win every game. So in our mind, we were playing a playoff elimination game every single Saturday after the Alabama game. And that takes a toll from a mental standpoint as well. So it was a long year in a lot of ways. So you want to give your guys a break, but you want to continue to stay sharp and prepare for a really good team that you're playing. Keeping them motivated wasn't hard. They're very motivated to play in this game for a lot of reasons, as we've alluded to, just like Illinois is. To me, the biggest challenge is just keeping with that long a layoff, keeping the sharpness, if you will, from a technique and fundamental standpoint, because it is such a long layoff. It's like a game one in so many ways when it comes to tackling and blocking and special teams. You can't, because there's so many with the portal. There's so many new players that are going to be playing on special teams in games. You can't watch a bowl game and not see impactful special teams play. I mean, I haven't watched a ton of bowl games this week. We've been busy, but it feels like every time I see a highlight or watch 5 minutes, there's a block punt, there's a return for a punt, there's a fake punt, there's a fake field goal. I mean, it's amazing. And really just focusing on that so we can be at our best tomorrow in the game.
We'll close on the right side in the front row.
First off, Shane, nice to see you again.
Good
Been
to
a
see
while.
you, Madison. No, we brought the A-team in for this one.
Kind of looking again at big picture, how are you and Bret as well managing whoever's coming in from the transfer portal, who you're actively recruiting, who's coming in out of high school, and also who could potentially step up and have a big game tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah. And to go back to the snapshot of college football in 2024, I forgot to mention that we had 7 high school players that had just played in a state championship game 2 days earlier that were going through December practices with us as well because they had finished up all their academic work as well. So it's hectic. Say that again. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm going to let you get 2 questions in since you haven't been with us this year as well. That's my fault.
How are you balancing not only having recruiting in the portal right now, managing holes that you guys are going to have to fill up in that position, the high schoolers that are coming in now, and also whoever could potentially step up and show you a little bit more what they can do tomorrow afternoon? Yeah,
it's a challenge, no question about it. For us, it always starts with high school recruiting as well, and so we've liked the group that we have coming in there from a high school standpoint. One thing that I do like that the NCAA did this year, and I don't know if Bret feels the same way, but just moving the signing day up earlier in December, it allowed you to at least sign that class. Now, it stunk because you didn't get to do home visits, and every freshman on our team, I was in their house last year. You didn't do that this season because the signing day was right after the Clemson game. But you got your high school signing class signed, and then you can go and attack the portal. And there's still some high school guys out there that didn't sign in December that we're recruiting. But right now, we're primarily portaling, if you will, for just positions where you need some experience, immediate need. We lose both a center and our starting center and both offensive guards after this game tomorrow. So that's going to be a position where we need to get some experience in here, and that's been a point of emphasis in the portal as well. And then in regards to guys stepping up tomorrow, certainly I would think just because of who's missing, the running back position, somebody's going to have to make some plays there tomorrow without a doubt, and easier said than done. I mean, this is a really good defense we're playing and a really good front seven particularly. But someone there is going to have an opportunity and need one of those guys without a doubt. But fortunately, in the secondary, those guys are playing. Linebackers are playing healthy without a doubt. But the tight end position, Brady Hunt is still hurt, and Brady won't play tomorrow. And Josh Simon's still good to go. But Michael Smith, those 2 guys are going to primarily be the 2 main guys tomorrow from a tight end standpoint as well. And outside of that, we kind of got the guys, and hopefully we don't have to go too far down the depth chart, if you will, if we can keep everybody healthy tomorrow.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's crazy in this portal world is there's so much pre-portal information. You get tipped off either from a high school coach, college coach. I mean, you saw it just a couple nights ago here in the bowl game and the Pop-Tart game where a guy opted out in the middle of a game, right? So, I think it's just a really unique time in the world that we're in, and you know, because Shane and I's team played past the deadline for the transfer window to open. It stays open for, I believe, 6 more days. So our guys, anybody on our roster, would be able to declare for the portal up until January 5th. So I don't think you should be naive to the fact that it's going on everywhere else in college football. I think our guys think a certain way, but that's probably the game within the game that is really unique, because, I mean, people will test the waters before they're in the waters, if you know what I mean. So it's a very unique time as far as players stepping up. I'm really excited to see our wide receiver core, Justin Stepp, who I know Coach knows personally, came from South Carolina, has made an incredible impact on our football team, and especially in the wide receiver room. And he is really excited about this group, obviously, with Pat Bryant, our leading receiver, stepping down from this game to have Zakari, but also those faces, those names I mentioned earlier. It's really excited to watch Malik, Cap, Hank Beatty, a couple other new faces come into the fold that I'm excited to see them play out, as well as several guys at other positions.
All right, thank you both for being here this morning. We appreciate your time, and good luck tomorrow.
Happy New Year.
I want to know, we had the situation here, you mentioned it the other night with Cam Ward in Miami. I would like to get your reaction when you learned about that, and can you imagine ever having a player come to you and say, I'll play a half and then I'm done?
You know, I don't know enough about the situation. I just know it happened, so I don't need to. I pissed Miami off once earlier. I don't need to do it again. I'll just say that I always try to say it within my own world. I'm just saying that, like, I always think the greatest thing you can do from others is learn, right? Like, if you're not a part of the situation, you can at least learn from it, right? And it's not unreal to think that may happen. I think all of our guys are the intent of playing 4 quarters or whatever is needed tomorrow, but that's just the world that it is there right now. And I think, you know, for me, the relationship with our athletic director, Josh, and I, the former lawyer, he's kind of really ahead of the game on many different facets, right? And I think you just got to be pre-active in things that are going on in college football. To think that it could not enter into your building has got to be something you got to be aware of.
Does that dissuade you from, you talk about having a wonderful job. My dad was a coal miner. I don't work either.
Yeah.
But does that dissuade you when you think about this guy's going to leave after a half? He's not here for the whole game.
Well, I sure as hell don't want to be a coal miner. I know that.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. But I'm sure they're good people. No, I truly, you know, I became a coach because of the way the coaches had an effect on my life. And I know that's one thing they can never take away from us, right? Like, it can get frustrating. I'm sure Shane's wife and my wife would tell you that they you know, like, I flew to Oakland, California 2 days before Christmas, and you know, took a day away from my daughters that I was really looking forward to, you know. But I knew to go visit a player that I loved and try to tell him things that would make him come back and play with us would have a huge effect on not only our football team but also my life, right? So nothing can ever take away how much you enjoy coaching young men and getting them to reach their dreams. But there is a lot of things that, you know, I'm glad I'm in my 17th year, not my first year, because I know I can do this probably another 10 years, but I don't know if I could do it 17 for a variety of different reasons. But, yeah, I don't think that can ever take away from what we're doing.
All right, thank you, guys. No more questions, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.